Sunday, everybody. It is the start of a new reading vlog, and so it's time for me to talk to you about books that I have going as of right now and books that I hope to get to. Maybe. We'll see. There's only 2 days left of May for middle grade May, so I want to try to get as much of my middle grade as I can. So I have The Activist by John Grisham. This is Theodore Boone number 4. I've already started this one on audiobook. I think I'm about an hour in. It's only like about 5 hours on audiobook, so I should be able to get this done. And I am listening to The Sea in Winter by Christine Day. I have probably about an hour or so left on the audiobook of it, so I know I'll be able to get it done. And I am still working on Charlie Thorne and The Curse of Cleopatra. It's not because I don't like it or anything like that. I mean, it is not my favorite series by Stuart Gibbs. It's just that it's print and I don't have an audiobook, and sometimes I just let the audiobooks go ahead of my print books, and so I just need to just read this one. I'm halfway through it pretty much, so I just need to concentrate on this. And I'll admit, I like audiobooks. It's the same with the one that I have on here. I am still in the middle of Egypt's Fire, which is the Curious League of Detectives and Thieves, book 1 by Tom Phillips. It's not that I don't like it, it's just it's ebook, and I've been listening to audiobooks because I can clean on my room, I can work outside, I can mow, I can clean downstairs, and I can listen to the audiobooks, and so that's just how it goes. I am 60% into this one, so yeah, those are the 4 books, the 4 middle grade books that I would like to concentrate on within the rest of today and the next 2 days, in hopes that I can get them done before May is over. If not, I will just continue on in June. It doesn't really bug me too much. I do like to finish things, but I'm okay if I don't. I can continue on. I am letting June be kind of a read what I want to read kind of thing, and not really participate in any readathons, though I may do that loosely, but not like commit. And if I do something that, counts for it, I'll be like, oh look, I participated. But other than that, I'm not. There are some good ones that are happening in June, but I've just did a readathon every month so far, and I just wanted a month that I didn't have to really do a readathon, because I have something planned in July for my birthday month, and so I just wanted to take a break and get some of the stuff that I've been meaning to read read. So we'll see how that goes. So yeah, that's pretty much how I'm gonna start this off, and we will see how things go, and I will continue, and I will give you updates if I finish something. I'm sure I'll be back before the end of the night with how I did with In the Sea of Winter, because I'm almost done with that. Hey everybody, it's Sunday still in the evening, and thought I would pop on here because I did finish a book. I'm coming to you as a hot mess because I just got done. Our dryer wasn't working, like it was smelling like really hot, it was nasty, and I told Dad that we probably needed to check the heating thing or whatever, the vent thing, and it was really clogged up. So I was outside pulling all that stuff off, going inside, doing all this, then I was downstairs checking, and it seems to be working and not smelling hot or anything, so fingers crossed that was the only problem that we had with it, because I need my dryer, because I need to wash my clothes. And so yeah, so I'm a little hot, a little shiny probably, but that's okay. At least I got that done. And so I am popping on here to talk about The Sea in Winter by Christine Day. It's a middle grade contemporary. I can see why some people would really enjoy this, especially if they like contemporary. For me, it was just an okay, decent read. I don't really care for middle grade contemporary. I don't really do a lot of contemporary, period. Um, Even I do read like romantic contemporary, but I still prefer like the historical aspects of romance over the contemporary stuff. But I do read it, but that's different than just like a contemporary like women's fiction or something like that. I just don't read that stuff, and so yeah, so contemporary is just not my jam. But I wanted to read this one because it was about a Native American girl, and I needed a the prompt for the I, which was indigenous, and to read a book for that for middle grade May. And so it was only 6 hours, and so I thought I can do this. I can get it done. Excuse me. And it's about Macy, who is a ballerina, and she really wants to make it big as a ballerina, and she did something really stupid and messed her knee up, and so now she can't dance, and she's very depressed and going through all that various stages of that. And her parents, they try to understand, but you can't truly understand unless you're in that person's perspective or whatever. They're not ballerinas. They're not wanting to make being a ballerina their like life choice, and to all of a sudden not be able to dance while your friends are all dancing and stuff like that. So I mean, I can see that they can only do so much for her and try to make things the best that they can for her. And she gets kind of snappy and mean sometimes, and I wanted to smack her, but yes, she is depressed. I get that. I have a hard time empathizing with characters. I have a hard time empathizing, period. It's just, maybe it's a flaw that I have. I don't know. But, so I get aggravated when the characters get annoying and mean and stuff instead of trying to put myself in their shoes or whatever it is. And so, so sometimes she could just be a little bit annoying. She's been doing very well with her recovery. And so they were going to take a road trip to where, I don't remember exactly where it's at, but they were going to, I think, somewhere around where one of them, the parents, grew up. I think it's the Makah tribe or whatever. I think it's in Washington, I think, somewhere around there. They were going to some place up there and just kind of learn some stuff about the history and things like that. They're taking a road trip. She has a younger brother, Connor, and he gets real worried about her because she's not acting quite, the way he thinks she should be acting. And while they're there, something happens again that messes up her knee, and she has to. It kind of like puts her right back to, and so she's got to learn that maybe, she's not going to be able to dance, and she's going to have to learn to live with, like, not being able to do that. And shutting out her friends and things like that is not going to help or anything like that. She needs support group and stuff like that. And so, I mean, it's just about a girl who is trying to come to terms with maybe she won't be able to dance anymore, and she has no friends in middle school because all of her friends were ballerinas. And so, maybe she's gonna have to change some life choices, and she's trying to push herself because she wanted to dance. She wanted to be able to do it in the summer instead of just letting herself heal and everything. And so, that kind of has consequences whenever you think you can do more than you can when your body is trying to heal. And so I give it 3.5 stars. It was okay. I know some that really enjoyed it, and I can see why, because like if you like contemporary, then I think you would enjoy this. But contemporary is just not my thing. But yeah, but I finished it, so I have finished at least one book for each of the letters and family. I didn't think I was going to because I thought I was going to run out of time, but I found that one was really short, so I could fit it in. I read way more books than just spelling out family for middle grade May, but I wanted to at least try to hit all the prompts, and I did. So there's that, and I thought I would update you on like where I am with Gone with the Wind, because I talked about it earlier. I've got this much more to go. It's I'm at the like 6 hour mark, I think it is. I may listen to some of this tonight, but I'm to the point too that if I don't finish it in May, I'm okay. But I do think I could if I push myself. But I also want to get some more middle grade read, so I'm kind of, on the fence about should I concentrate on my middle grade or should I concentrate on this. So I guess we'll see. We'll see how the cookie crumbles or whatever. Hello everybody, it's Tuesday and I have 2 books to talk about. It's the last day of May. It's kind of crunch time for getting the books that I wanted to get done for middle grade May. I finished 2 yesterday and I just didn't come on and talk, so I want to talk to you about them today. And one of them is The Activist by John Grisham. It's Theodore Boone number 4. And I think so far this is probably going to be my favorite one out of the series. This one has Theodore Boone is learning a little bit about activism, and there is a government like type company and so county commissioners and things like that. It's a kind of a political and environmental type thing, but they're wanting to put this bypass through this guy's land and take it by eminent domain, but it's not necessary to the town. They don't need it. They just want to because it'll make them rich and big money and stuff like that. And Theodore has a friend whose grandfather has that land that they're wanting to take. It's been in their family. That land has been in their family for generations, and it's supposed to be passed down, to even his friend. It's something. They've had a farm there and all this stuff, and his grandparents are like super upset about this because it's their life. That's their home. It has nothing necessarily to do with even the land, but their house is there. That's their home. They've lived there, had kids there, have their grandkids there, and stuff like that. And Theodore's afraid that, because of the eminent domain, which means the government can come in and take your property, they have to pay you for it, but they can still come and get it. And which is totally not fair. But it has to be necessary. And so in this one, Theodore Boone, he is getting involved with trying to stop this. And he knows some things that he shouldn't know because he got a little snoopy with his father's files. It was just laying right out there where he could see it, but it has to do with some of the people involved. And so he's got to figure out, what to do with all of that. Should he, talk about what he knows, or should he not? At one point, he was going to mail a letter to one guy saying, hey, I know what you're doing, but he knew in his heart of heart, he wants to be a lawyer, and he knows the lines to draw with a client and lawyer confidentiality and things. He wasn't supposed to know the stuff that, he knew that was in his father's files and things like that. And so, it was one of those tests, that he almost done it, but he didn't. And it was really good. Them fighting against, this big company and the things that they believed in. If it was necessary to the growth of the community, it would be different. And the fact that it was going to be polluting it was going to make a road that was going to go right by an elementary school, right by a park, where you have all these kids and everything, and they are going to have all this pollution like in their face because of those big trucks that go through there and things like that. They made a really cool video showing that kind of stuff. And he got a little bit famous with his fight for this. And his parents, his father is very proud of him for doing things. His mother, on the other hand, thinks kids shouldn't get involved in these things. But they're both lawyers, and they're both very proud of their son for standing up for what he believed in. And I just really like this one. I liked how Theodore, even though he knew the possibilities that his friend's family could lose their land because of eminent domain, which is, he knows all about because he wants to be a lawyer and he knows a lot of things about that. And he knows the government's right. He also knows that, it has to be necessary to, like, the growth of, or whatever. That bypass would have made a bunch of people rich, but it wasn't necessarily, something that was needed. And so he stood up for that with his friends. Now, there is a part in here that I wasn't very happy about. And so there was a little bit of animal abuse. Judge, his dog, got beat up by some of the bad guys. And I wanted to reach in there and grab them. I felt so bad for Theodore and stuff. Everything's okay. And Judge is okay. But just know that going into this one, number 4, that is in there. And it was upsetting. I did not like it. But other than that, I really, really enjoyed it. I give it 4 stars. Then I finally finished Egypt's Fire by Tom Phillips, which is the first book in the Curious League of Detectives and Thieves. And I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of eye rolls and a lot of, like, really suspending of disbelief. But it's a kid's book, and it's goofy and over the top and crazy and just fun. And it didn't take me a long time to read it because I wasn't enjoying it. Actually, I really, really did enjoy it. It's just that it was an ebook and I had all these audiobooks that just kind of, I pushed ahead of it. But I really did like it. I, got myself, sat down, finished it, and everything. And it's about John Borhog, who is an orphan. His mother has died and he didn't know who his father was. And he's been living for 6 months up inside the, like, attic space of a museum. And one day he ventured down through there and he put on the janitor's outfit so that he could kind of go through there, and people, if they were looking at security, they'd just think he was a janitor. Because they were having a new exhibit. It was an Egyptian exhibit with this big giant ruby, and it was called Egypt's Fire. And he just wanted to get a glimpse of it. Well, when he did, there was somebody in there that was there to steal it. And the next thing he knows, he is waking up on the floor and the Egypt's Fire is missing. But whenever they frisk him and stuff to see what, they find the Egypt's Fire in his pocket. But he's like, I didn't do it. And here enters Inspector Todius McGee, who doesn't think that the kid stole it. And he, even though they have it there, they find out that it was fake, and that the real one had been stolen actually by the person who probably stole it. Even though Detective Brownie still thinks that John Borhog is the one that stole it, Inspector doesn't think it, and the detective and the inspector don't really like each other very much. A mutual respect at some points, but the inspector thinks that the detective is just not very good at his job. But the inspector is, like, so off the wall weird, and I mean, his name is Todius. That was just strange. But then we also have a Polypickle, Chronopolis, and I mean, so all the names are just really, really out there. And so eventually John was going to have to be going to the the New Jersey Boys Home, or whatever, is a home for boys. That's it. I can't speak. And he really didn't want to go there because the guy that run the place was not nice. And the inspector ended up being able to get to where he could be his guardian or whatever. And he keeps calling him doctor, and he's like, but I'm not a doctor. And he's like, doctor. And so you could kind of tell that this was a bit of a spoof from, like, a Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson type thing. And it was just a lot of fun, a lot of over the top crazy things. There was a magician slash not very good thief and not very good magician called Goat to Knee Knee Knee. Yeah, and it was like knee knee knee. And you know, it is a lot of stuff. You know, you kind of roll your eyes, but you chuckle, and you're thinking, "Oh my, that would never happen." It had an action sequence in it at the end that I could see in a cartoon. You know, like when you have like this one thing happens, this happens, and all of a sudden they switch spots, and this one's over here, and this one's in here, and how did this happen? But now they're over here, and this is going. I mean, all this stuff was going on, and you're just kind of going, whoa, 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 what in the world is going on, and stuff. It was it would have made a perfect like cartoon sequence, but it was just crazy, but it made you laugh, and that's what I liked. And yes, you know, there were times where it's like, I don't know about this. The other parts were so fun that didn't really seem to matter to me. And I base my ratings on enjoyment. And so I give it 4.5 stars. I really, really liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun. Crazy, kooky, over the top, but fun. And if you like that kind of stuff, then I think you would like it. And I'm kind of curious to see how it's going to go from how it ended to what the next one is going to bring. So I'm excited to see what happens. And so yeah, I've got those two down. I'm getting closer. I have this much to go to finish Charlie Thorne and the Curse of Cleopatra. It is 1:50 in the afternoon. Can I do it? I don't have anything planned today. I can just read. If I don't get distracted, I can just read. I have like about 100 pages to go. So, it's the countdown. Can I do it? If I can, I will be back on here to let you know that I finished this one, which will be my last book for May. I wanted to finish Gone with the Wind, and I am so close. I'm like 92% in to the audiobook. I'm so close. But I want to finish another middle grade book for middle grade May and wrap that up. So if I roll this over to June 1st to June 2nd or something like that, I'm okay with that. I am just impressed with myself that I'm finishing it up and getting it read. So here we go. See if we can get it done, everybody. I am back because I finished Charlie Thorne and the Curse of Cleopatra. I told you it's crunch time. I was going to try to get it done, and I did get it done, and I'm excited. I got all the books that I wanted to get done in May. I went off my TBR, so I didn't get all the books that were on my TBR done, but I got all the books that I wanted to get done, so I'm happy with that. So here's the last middle grade book that I have for May. And I will have to say that I actually like this one a lot better than I have the first two. I think I'm starting to get used to Charlie Thorne. You definitely have to suspend your disbelief. I mean, she's a 12-year-old genius who stole like $40 million. She's a thief. She's a fugitive. She is Indiana Jones and Robert Langdon rolled up into one. She's like super smart about everything, and it's just kind of like, okay, but I'm getting used to her, and I do think this was my favorite one out of the series. This one comes out in June, so I got this from Simon & Schuster, so thank you. And this one has a Charlie Thorne. So basically, in the first book, Charlie Thorne finds out that Einstein has a list of all these smart historical people who have hidden something of value. And in the second one, it was Darwin, and in this one, it was Cleopatra. And this one, she is on. So Charlie Thorne is, without trying to spoil any of the other ones, she's pretty much on the run from just about everybody because of something that happened at the end of the first book. And her brother, her half brother is a CIA agent, and they are trying to find her again. And she knows that Cleopatra has something, and she knows where like the first clue is, and we find her breaking into this person's home in Egypt because there is an artifact there that she wants to get a rubbing off of, and she thinks that's going to lead her to like a clue. And so that's basically what happens is she deciphers these clues, and I mean they're not easy to decipher clues, but she knows like a ton about Cleopatra and everything. So it's like, you know, I guess because I mean she's a genius, maybe she's read a lot and she just knows a lot, but it's just like, wow, she knows an awful lot for being like 12. Well, officially she turns 13, but for being young, she knows an awful lot about Cleopatra. I mean, an awful lot. But in turn, we learn a lot about Cleopatra. So I think it's a good learning tool to read this book. You learn a lot about, you know, Cleopatra was a smart woman. She did a lot of stuff while she was ruling. She kind of gets a bad rap because she's kind of known for being a seductress, but she was a very smart lady, and she was very, you know, she ruled really well, and she was wealthy and all that stuff. She was pretty smart. And even the author I thought was kind of interesting because at the end he notes that when he made this list of smart historical people to do this book series about, Cleopatra was not in there. It wasn't until he read a book about Cleopatra that somebody wrote, and it actually sounds like it could be interesting. He read Cleopatra: Life by Stacy Schiff, and he said it was certainly one of the best biographies ever, and it made him really see Cleopatra in a different light than the seductress type thing, and so then he decided to add her to his list of historical figures. So that's why we get this book. And it's hard to talk about without spoiling anything from like previous books, so it'll be a short one. But pretty much there is the Mossad who is after her. There are the Egypt police, and I cannot pronounce how you say that. Their name, I don't know if I can find it in here real quick, but yeah. It is not a word I can pronounce. It's a Maharara, something, yeah. Anyway, they are after her. The CIA are after her. You know, pretty much anybody who knows about the information she has kind of wants her. So yeah, she's on the run from all these people and trying to find the clues to figure out what it was that Cleopatra had saved and everything. So it's kind of interesting to see what each historical figures deems like their big thing, like their thing that they tried to protect, they hid or whatever. It's a fun series in that way, and she really is like a young Robert Langdon from like the Dan Brown books, because she takes these like clues that adults have no clue about and figures out where she's supposed to go next. So like they start out in like Egypt, where she got that she was in like Cairo, I think, and then she figures out that she needs to go to Athens, and so they go to Athens and they get the clue there, and from there they have to go to Rome, and from there to actually go to the United States. And I mean, so they're traveling all over. It's definitely a travel book, so keep that in mind. If you like those kind of things, you'll like this. I do think the series is interesting. I wasn't a huge fan of the second book, but then I'm not a huge fan of Charles Darwin, so, you know, there's that. But overall, I do think this one's my favorite, and I give this one 4 stars, where I think I've gave the other ones like 3 stars. So maybe it's starting to go up for me. So I'm getting used to Charlie Thorne and her antics and just going with the flow. So yeah, so I am interested to see what happens next, because the next person is going to be, I think it was Isaac Newton. Yeah. So they are going to be traveling to England to track down what Isaac Newton found. So I'm kind of curious to see what that's going to be about. But yeah, if you like this kind of thing, I think you'll like the series. It was, pretty decent. And so, on to finish Gone with the Wind. Can I do it? We'll see. So, everybody, I am back because I did it. I finished Gone with the Wind by Margaret Mitchell. I'm so excited. This book was a hefty book. It is 1,024 pages. And I started it last month, and I finished it this month, but I feel like I read 2 books, because I, split it up into 2, 500 page segments, so it was pretty much like finishing 2 books. And, yeah. I actually enjoyed this a whole lot more than I thought I was going to. I've watched the movie a long time ago, when I was 18, somewhere around there. My mom made me watch it, and I was just like, I can't believe you made me watch this. I hated how it ended. I was like, no, this wasn't the way it was supposed to end. They were supposed to fix things. It's not supposed to end like that. But I know that this is a lot of people's favorite book, and especially for Melissa from Library and Labradors. So she is basically the reason I decided to try this book, because she really liked it and talks about it a lot. And how she likes to pick up books that are in the similar as this book is. So I was like, I'm gonna try it. Since I kind of, I already had mindset. I knew how it was gonna end, and so I knew there was gonna be like this big happily ever after. I was pretty good, so I was ready for it. I think watching the movie at 18 and having this ideal of how, you think you're watching this iconic romance movie of some sort, and then reading it now at my age, I kind of look at it a little bit differently. And I couldn't stand Scarlet, and it makes me think about I just don't remember that much from the book. I mean, not the book, but the movie. Because I didn't think Scarlet was that bad in the movie, and maybe she's just not portrayed as bad in the movie as she is here. But oh my goodness, she drove me crazy. I have never read such a long book about a character that I couldn't stand. But at the same time, she is a character. I mean, she's a very iconic character, and you have these up and down feels about her. I mean, yes, through most of it, she was horrible and wretched, and towards the end, you just kind of feel sorry for her a lot too, because it's like, this was a young lady who was from a wealthy family. She was rich. She had the plantation and all this stuff going for her, and then her world crumbles whenever the Civil War happens, and everything is different, but she could not let go of Ashley. And it's like, let him go. He is married to somebody else. Let him go. Rhett Butler was way better than Ashley ever was going to be. And yes, he was a scoundrel. And he did things during the war to make a profit and things like that. But he was also like her other half. They were made out of the same cloth. They were a lot alike, and that's why he liked her and everything. He always kept her a little bit at arm's length, because he knew her affinity to always want Ashley and all that stuff, but he would always be there, and it was just, towards the end, whenever she's starting to realize some things and everything, it's too late. She didn't grow up fast enough. She realized things that she should have realized several years ago, and it was just I went from hating her to kind of feeling sorry for her. I still didn't like her, and I probably would have given it 5 stars, but I'm going to give it 4.5 stars, because I'm docking a half star because I really didn't like her, and I read a whole giant book about a character I don't like. But yeah, you do kind of, I guess, feel a little bit sorry for her towards the end, because she just woke up too late to realize that, what she had was what she wanted. And by then he didn't care. And so it was kind of like, oh, and everything. But yeah, I really did like it. I liked it a lot more. I really liked, I've never really read a Civil War book, so I've never really, gotten into like the whole war aspects and things like that. I don't really care for war books. I've never really liked war books. But, seeing how they go through that and they come up from the ashes and have to rebuild and do all that and, become, the whole, like, states and stuff, they have to, like, rise up and build again and all that stuff. It was interesting. I did like the historical aspects of it and everything, which is why I'm giving it 4.5 stars, because I really did like all of that. I am curious now. I want to watch the movie. I actually found the DVD set. It was like a 4-disc DVD set for $1. And so I was like really excited about that, because it's like, I'd like to watch this, but I don't want to like pay a lot of money, to rent it or anything like that. So I was like excited that I found that. So in the coming weeks, I think I will try the movie, because I'm really curious to see what got cut out, because I don't remember enough of the movie. I just remember Rhett Butler, Clark Gable. That's all I remember. So yeah, I would like to watch it again, just to kind of compare and see what the differences are. I do know that there was a little bit of a difference in the ending, because the whole Frankly Scarlet was just in the movie. That Frankly Scarlet wasn't in the book. The other part was, but the Frankly Scarlet wasn't. So yeah, so I'm excited. I finished that book. I didn't think I was gonna get it finished for May. So yes, I finished it. So that is officially my last book of May. So I'm excited to clean the slate and get into some fresh books tomorrow. So we'll see what happens when June 1st gets here. Good evening, everybody. It occurred to me that I forgot to come on and talk about some of the books that I want to get read now that it's June. Yesterday was June 1st. I, of course, didn't finish anything because I had just started things. But I should have come on here and let you know what I was going to be reading, and I forgot. But I'm going to talk about what I'm currently reading right now and a book that I already finished, because I got approved for the NetGalley audiobook of Death by Beach Read by Eva Gates. It's the 9th book in the Lighthouse Library series. It's one of my favorite series. And so I had planned on reading it. I had the e-arc, but I thought I would see if I could get the audio arc when I saw it on there. This one comes out, I think, June 7th, somewhere around there. And so I just wanted to make sure that I got it done and read and everything. So I immediately re-downloaded the NetGalley app, because I hadn't had it, because I haven't tried an audiobook in a while. And downloaded it and started listening to it. And that's pretty much what I've been doing. Today has been not a great day. My stomach's bothering me, and it just feels better when I'm laying down, so that's kind of what I did. And it is still kind of bothering me, but hopefully it will go away soon. Hopefully. And so I'm going to talk about Death by Beach Read, and then I will let you know the other books that I am reading. So I'm going to be very vague about Death by Beach Read, because it is number 9, and I don't want to spoil things for people that have just started the series or are in the middle of the series and don't know things. But I will say that this one kind of proves to me that it's really good to read the cozy mysteries in order, because there's a character that was in this story that was in the first story that something had happened, and she was pretty prominent in that story. And then I'm pretty sure there was another story where something involved her husband and everything in another story, and so she's back. She's not a very likable character. She's kind of drives me batty. Louisa Jane is usually the one that drives me batty. In this one, I didn't think she was quite so bad. I just didn't like the other one. Louisa Jane is a side character who, she's just a bit much. She really into paranormal. She wanted, I done forgot her name. Anyway, Louisa Jane at one point, well, for several books, has wanted Lucy's job. And so she's always been trying to make it kind of difficult for her, telling her that her lighthouse apartment that she lives in, because she lives in the lighthouse library, is haunted and all that kind of stuff. She's always trying to cause problems. And with some of the stories, she has thought that there was some kind of supernatural lean to them. And she still thinks that a little bit in this one. And so, yeah, she can be just kind of one of those characters that you just want to wring their necks. But at the same time, in this one, I felt she was a little bit more likable, I guess. I mean, maybe it's because of the other character that was in there. But anyway, it involves a house and some things that happen in the house. And I don't want to really say much about it because I don't want to like spoil anything for anybody. But then we have somebody that died, of course, in the house, and Lucy and Connor are trying to figure out what's going on, as well as the police. I will say that one of the things I like about this series is Lucy is with the mayor of the town and not the cop. So it's like he can still like grease some wheels and stuff like that to kind of get some information at times, but he is not the policeman in the story, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, I really like the characters. I wish there wasn't quite as much about the library characters. I didn't feel in this one. I would have liked to have had a little bit more of like Birdie and things like that. She wasn't real prominent in there. I think she was only mentioned a few times. And there's some other characters that I really liked. But Theo was kind of in it, and he's like, he likes to pretend like he's like some kind of fancy smancy like English guy or whatever, and tries to talk that way, but he doesn't really have the accent, but he tries the accent, and so it's kind of funny. And like Lucy's like, he lost his accent here. But he does kind of help them towards the end with a few things. And there was a lady that told Lucy that she shouldn't be with Connor because of some things that happened earlier in life that had to do with his father. So it was a little ominous there, and just some other things that happened that has to do with like the guy that died. And like I said, I don't want to say a whole lot because I don't want to spoil anything. So I'm just going to say that I really enjoyed it, and I gave it 4 stars. And I can't believe that I've started my month off with so many cozies, but I am also listening to an e-arc of the Bayou Book Thief by Ellen Byron. Is the first book. I believe it's the vintage kitchen mysteries or something like that, but vintage cookbook mysteries, maybe it's that. Anyway, it's something to do with vintage cookbooks and kitchens and all that stuff. And the main character, Ricky, her actual name is Miracle, but like everybody calls her Ricky, which I thought that was kind of weird. I'm trying to get Ricky out of Miracle, and I'm not quite getting it, but it's supposed to be short for that, but we'll go with it. And anyway, she wants to run a kind of a gift shop, museum-y type thing about deals with vintage cookbooks and vintage kitchen items and stuff like that. And there's this fancy smancy house that has like, it's a museum about this renowned like restaurateur that probably one of the founding whatever it is, founding families, I guess you would say, of that. And so I've only got about 6% into that, 6 or 7%. She is going to give her pitch to the lady of the house or whoever runs it, like that's in the family. It's an older lady, to kind of give her pitch to see if they like her idea and they would like to invite her to set up in there and everything. And she wants to, Ricky really loves vintage cookbooks and vintage kitchen stuff, and so it would be a great deal for her if she could get that done. And that's pretty much about all I know about it so far. And also started Live and Let Chai by Bree Baker, which is the first book. I think it's called The Seaside Cafe. I should know this as many times as everybody's talked about this series. But anyway, it's a Julianne Lindsay series, but she goes by Bree Baker, and I've read most of her other ones, but I've never tried this one. So I wanted to give it a try. And I re-upped my subscription for AnyPlay for Encyclopedia Brown, because it said that they had them, and then whenever I tried to download them off of there, it wouldn't let me have them. And I'm like, so I paid money for this, so I've got to get my money's worth somehow. And Live and Let Chai is on there, so I was like, I'm going to try to listen to some books that are on there, so I can at least get my money's worth for the month before I unsubscribe again. But, so, that's just why I decided to, I saw it on there, and I was like, okay, we'll just do that one. That was kind of how I started my month. And I am also starting Never Seen by Shannon Messenger. It's the 4th book in the Keeper of the Lost City series. It's huge. I don't think middle grade books should be so huge. It's 672 pages, and I just hope it's got a lot more action than the first one. I mean, looks like some action going on the cover, so hopefully that's throughout the whole series. But I thought I better start reading on it a little bit at a time before bed now, so that I can get it done by the end of the month. That's my goal. But yeah, it's a chunky one. It's a middle grade, so it does read a little faster, but still, it's pretty chunky, and I want to be able to get to a lot of other books this month. So that's pretty much what I am currently working on, and I will come back whenever I finish something, if I finish something. Hello everybody, I've come to wrap up the vlog. I never read anything else that I don't think that I haven't talked about, so I'm just going to kind of give you a rundown of how my week went. Most of the time I'm like one of those that will stop at the end of the month and then start a new vlog, even if it's in the middle of the week. But this time I didn't do it, so I'll run down with some of the ones that I finished at the end of May, and then the one book that I finished so far in June. And so I finished 6 books last week, and so those books are The Sea in Winter by Christine Day. It's a middle grade contemporary. I'm not really a big fan of contemporary, and I thought this one was okay, and I give it 3 stars. And then I read The Activist by John Grisham. This is the 4th book in the Theodore Boone series, and probably my favorite one so far of this series. I really enjoyed this one, gave it 4 stars. Then I read and finished Egypt's Fire, which is the 1st book in the Curious League of Detectives and Thieves by Tom Phillips, and this one was just a lot of fun. It was really crazy, over the top, corny kind of at times, but a lot of fun, and I gave it 4.5 stars because I really did like it. It was a lot of fun. Then I have Charlie Thorne and the Curse of Cleopatra. I have kind of with this series, but I actually like this one the most so far. I give this one 4 stars, where I think I've give the other ones like 3.5. I just, maybe I'm getting used to Charlie Thorne and her ways, but you really gotta suspend my disbelief a lot with this one, because she's kind of like not really an Indiana Jones, I would say more of a Robert Langdon from like the Dan Brown books, because she's like super smart and knows just about everything and can figure things out from like the littlest clue. But Yeah, I think I'm growing to it like Charlie Thorne a little bit more and gave this one 4 stars. And oh, this one comes out this month too. I'm not quite exactly sure when, but I think it's early on in this month. I'm just not sure when. And then I finished Gone with the Wind by Margaret Mitchell, and I actually enjoyed this one a lot more than I thought I would too. It took me 2 months, I will admit. I read half of it this month, half of it in May, and then half of it in April. And so it did take me a while, but you know, I was okay with that. I didn't want to rush a giant book. I just took my time, and I liked it. I gave it 4.5 stars. I thought it was a lot better than I thought I would like it for hating the main character like the whole time. But they had a lot of really interesting side characters, and just the historical aspects of it I really liked. And then my first book that I read in June was A Death by Beach Read by Eva Gates, and it's the 9th book in the Lighthouse Library series, and it's one of my favorite series, so I was excited to get to the latest book in that series and give it 4 stars, and I really enjoyed it. Yeah, so that's all of the books that I've read and what I thought of them, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.